The year is 2003. The Xbox is just starting to get its feet on the ground and are desperate to get some good games out fast. Hoping to capitalize on this is Big Blue Box Studios, set on a mission to make the most groundbreaking game ever made. This game came to be what we now know as Fable. This game received pretty good reviews when it came out due to its semi-open world and freedom of choice the game gives you. However, there was some criticism when the game came out due to missing promised features such as having your own kids in the game. I guess things haven't really changed with games, huh? Though this feature was later added with the newer games. But anyways, that was then and now is now. And I'd like to see how this game has held up after all these years. So let's find out. I really wanted to start off by saying that much like Elder Scrolls games, there's a tradition of starting a certain way, specifically as a child, but Fable 3 had to go mess that up. Anyways, it's your sister's birthday, and you're tasked with getting her a birthday gift. But oh no, you're poor. Just look at those clothes. Luckily, there's a merchant selling just the right gift for only 3 gold. This is where you get to make your first choice of the game. I call them choices, but it's really kind of a number system if you really think about it. Doing the bad thing, like helping the man cheat on his wife, gives you bad points, and doing good things like watching the crates for the guy gives you good points. These actions after a while will even get reflected to your character, who will progressively look nicer or meaner. The issue is, that's like it. Though the game was praised for its ability of choice, it is pretty rigidly black and white and doesn't really affect the game in meaningful ways. It's like, do you want to wear the nice people armor or the mean people armor? It's sort of like a Telltale game, giving you the illusion that you can miss things because of your choice, but it'll eventually lead you to the same thing more or less. However, it was still pretty cool for the time and it definitely adds to the game. Anyways, after some quick tasks to get a gift for your sister, the entire town burns down and she dies. And you're fast forwarded a few years into some hero training. This part sucks. I mean, even when I did this as a kid, I was bored of it. I understand you need tutorials and it's trying to hook into the story, but even Skyrim's tutorial is more fun than this. After this, they let you loose into the world to do as you please. Well, kinda. There's some neat areas to explore, but not much to do besides, you know, walk around them. You gotta get some money and some fame in first. That's where the quest table comes in. This is where you get all your hero tasks. It's usually just a good versus bad choice of some medial task, like do you want to protect the traders or ambush them? You know, stuff like that. It's neat they have different options like that, but I think I prefer the more unique side quests of the other Fable games. By the way, I think it's time to mention your rival. She's been here since we started training, and in like Pokemon, will always be your opposite. And my god, is she the worst. She is so annoying, and I don't really know how to explain why. She's just got a I'm the best attitude, but I mean, look at that face, come on. Another fun thing about the quests you can get is it gives you the option to boast when you take them. This basically just gives you added challenges to the quest that'll give you more rewards if you complete them. These kind of suck. It's either something super easy like, hey, protect this person, or super hard like, hey, have 0 armor on and fight a new enemy type for the first time. Which I did, by the way, and oh my god, it was impossible. I thought I was like under-leveled or something. I was even looking for a difficulty slider. But also, the rewards never really seemed worth it either. I barely did any side quests and was able to basically buy anything I wanted right after the arena. Now it's time for maybe my favorite part of the game. You're tasked with taking these 2 traders and escorting them through Darkwood, which is full of ghosts and ghouls and all that's bad. On the way, you come across another injured trader who you can either leave to die or take with you on your adventure. The best part though is that he's bit, and he'll turn into what's basically this game's werewolf after you get to a certain point. This blew my mind as a kid, and it's also a really cool added challenge to being good, because at this point these are still pretty powerful enemies, but it's cool because if you kill him or he dies early, you can miss this part completely. So I'm usually all for games adding mechanics and trying them out. I think the more features a game has, the better, for the most part. However, suddenly you're tasked with hiding and sneaking around a bandit camp, and this is absolutely a feature that should have been left on the whiteboard. It's funny because when I played Fable 2 as a kid, I was always confused by the option to break in and rob places because you couldn't really be that sneaky, but that was for the best, I think. This, to my knowledge, is the only time you use this mechanic, and I don't even think I did it right. After I got caught, I just killed everyone and hid behind a rock at the end of the area and ran past them as soon as they went to their NPC spots. I think if you read certain books and upgrade skills, you can unlock more with this skill, but Anyways, after very stealthily making your way through the bandit camp, you're faced with its leader. The tank from Left 4 Dead. I am really not a fan of bosses that you can only damage at certain times. I don't really get the point behind it, because you can have a cool hit and retreat thing without that. I mean, just look at Dark Souls bosses. But forcing me to just stand and wait instead of taking the risk myself is just a bummer. And only with a few bosses in this game, which is strange. When you beat him, you're met with a very typical spare or kill thing, which is pretty lame, because they even tell you that nothing will change, that you'll still be allowed here whether you kill him or let him live. So it's literally just a numbers game with the karma system. In the third game, at least, it gives you like an extra character that'll actually show up and influence stuff. You also find out that your sister isn't dead. She's just blind and like the secret leader of this bandit camp, actually. Is that weird? Well, too bad, because she's gone again. You're tasked with checking out this island area, which is my favorite area of the game, solely because I always wanted this DLC as a kid for Fable 2, and I never got it. However, this is when the game starts to get annoying. This area just sends waves of bandits at you, and like, I don't know if there's something I'm missing with the combat, but it is ruthless. And it continues for the rest of the game. If I'm fighting more than like 2 to 3 enemies at once, I'm just spamming multi-attack, because otherwise they just block every attack, and then someone else hits me. I didn't put any skill points into range stuff, but I didn't think I needed to. I thought I could play this game how I wanted. This is even more emphasized in the arena, which is just wave after wave of enemies. And most of them in the later waves are just bullet sponges. I mean, look at this. Does this look like fun gameplay to you? Because it wasn't for me. They give you Whisper, your rival, who is supposed to be helping, but I really don't think I saw her do anything. She couldn't even distract the other troll for me, which again was just me spamming multi-attack. And what's worse, you have to leave the arena to save your progress, but nowhere do they say that. Nowhere. I went through all 8 levels, all 32 waves of the arena, and got to the big final boss and got absolutely blasted. Because, surprise, you can only hit this boss at certain moments. Where do they say that? No idea. And I had to start right from the beginning again. I was not happy. It made up for it at the end, at least, when I got to the very end of the arena and was given the ability to kill Whisper. At this point, for the first time in the game, she's actually kind of nice to you. I think this is supposed to make you feel bad if you decide to kill her, but oh my god, she deserves it. Get out of here. This is all because we finally see the big bad of the game, Jack of Blades, who has like the coolest design of any boss ever. He's been controlling everything the whole time and was even responsible for the fire back when we were a little boy. Turns out our mother was a hero, but she's all old and decrepit now, so who cares? We're the arena champion. Time to go show this off. This includes, but isn't limited to, torturing the second most annoying character in the game, Thunder, Whisper's uncle, who is very unhappy we killed his niece, granted, and is simping real hard for Lady Grey, the mayor of Bowerstone. Too bad she's got eyes for us. We just have to do a few tasks for her first. She's secretly, not so secretly, an awful person and killed her sister for the position, but I could care less. This is all about my hatred towards this family. At the end, Thunder challenges you to a fight to the death, to which I gladly accepted, although he just walks off and disappears at the end. Also, the crowd was totally on my side. For story's sake, it's time to go look for our mom, who's actually alive, but locked away somewhere. This leads us to an underground tunnel in a graveyard in Darkwood. I feel like this would have been the moment to introduce the skeleton things instead of just in the arena. Like in Fable 2, there's a whole spooky sequence where you're in the fog and your dog brings you an arm. I don't know, it's way more atmospheric than just, oh, I guess I'm fighting skeletons now. After some fishing, you're finally able to unlock the secret passage to some prison, where your mother has been held for years. Oh, never mind. I feel like Fable 1 and 2 were really trying to emulate each other and add fun things like, oh, we're doing this again. And Fable 3 just came around and ruined it. Because there's multiple moments Fable 1 and 2 share that Fable 3 doesn't have. This is also just as tedious as it is in Fable 2. You have to compete in a race, which isn't even a challenge, really, to which you win the prize of listening to this guy's poem. You can try and find the key hiding in a book, but no matter what you pick, it will always be wrong and only right the second time, meaning you have to wait a whole year and do the race again just to get the key. I'm not quite sure why that was needed, and I don't think the developers were either, because they used the exact same audio, almost like it was cut and pasted. Eventually, you get the key, and after a quick escape, are finally free in the world again. Just kidding. Turns out the world is actually ending, and we came out just in time. Oh, also, there goes our mom again. Turns out the guy who saved us as a kid is actually also evil and helping helping Jack. You may be confused by this twist because I haven't really mentioned this character, but that's because the game doesn't really either. He also goes down laughably easy to the multi-attack cheese like any other enemy. What isn't easy though is the next part. Okay, it's easy if you just don't engage in anything. So you basically just have to run through all the areas you've been through the whole game, trying to stop Jack from lifting the boulders off of these hidden portals. Very strange, and honestly goes on longer than needed. I can't imagine actually staying and fighting all these enemies, especially because, oh my god, the game has gotten impossible. I have no idea why, but I feel like I can't attack anything. I do like no damage with anything other than spamming multi-attack. The first phase of the Jack fight wasn't an issue, but when they added more enemies and whatever this attack is, oh my god, it was unbearable. I had no way of attacking him really because I didn't really have any great range skills. That's my fault, I know, but I am supposed to be able to play how I want. It took me a while to figure out a good way to attack him, but eventually he went down, and finally I was met with the biggest choice of the game: destroy the sword or kill my sister, to which she seems very nonchalant about. Obviously I destroyed the sword because I've played the second game, I know she lives. Now, when this game first came out, this was all there was. But the version I played, and really the only one you can get now, is an updated version, adding a whole new DLC to the game. Jack is back, somehow, and it's up to us to find out how, on a brand new island, which I could barely even get to. This troll is blocking the path, and oh my god, he was the final straw. I mean, look, I was doing absolutely no damage. I was about to just call it here, but I decided I'd do some demon doors first, so let's talk about those. See, the other Fable games, I feel like, have pretty good side quests, but this games are kinda eh. However, this game does have the demon doors, which I've always had a sweet spot for. They're just these big talking doors that give you a sort of riddle, and you gotta figure out what they want for them to open. Sometimes it's a really good, unique weapon, and sometimes it's like a potion. I feel like the other games get them more unique, but it did help me realize my issue with combat. Apparently somehow I got switched to using a stick. I have no idea when or how that happened, but after switching to a real weapon, I could actually do damage again, and I decided to bite the bullet and do the DLC. Too bad the troll was the hardest part of it. It's kind of just a series of fetch quests, which granted all quests in this game are if you boil them down enough, but this time it was extra obvious. They also throw these random characters in that you don't really interact with in the main game and kind of make them important to the plot. It's very random, and I'm sorry, but I'm also supposed to believe this guy's a hero. Also, Thunder is back somehow. Thankfully, I finally get to kill him for real though, and while I'm at it, I killed everyone else in the Heroes Guild. This was half for the fact that it's arguably pretty accurate considering the Hero Guild is long gone and destroyed in Fable 2, and half because the good options involved a lot of needless running around and busy work, and I just didn't want to deal with it. But with all the souls I needed, it was finally time to challenge Jack one last time. Who was turned into a dragon? I feel like there's probably an explanation for this, but pal, it is not a good one. As cool as this fight looks, the final fight of the game is another hit and wait boss battle. You can damage him at any point, unlike the others, but one, you shouldn't, and two, he flies away quite often, so you still have to wait. I found freezing time was the best way to deal with him and the enemies around here. I was starting to worry and run out of ways to heal, but I got him just in time, and I was met with my last choice. I threw the mask into the lava, ensuring the end of Jack of Blades, and finishing Fable and Fable the Lost Chapters. So now that we're at the end, how has Fable held up after all these years? Well, alright, I guess. I mean, it definitely isn't the most groundbreaking game, even though it tried to market itself as such, but it's got a weird personality to it that I don't think any game has gotten close to, and I generally don't think the reboot coming out, whenever that's supposed to be, will either. That doesn't make up for the dull game design, but it's a start. Anyways, that's my review of Fable. I'll probably do the other ones at some point, so like and subscribe if you want to see that, and thanks!